Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. I guess you're all ready to start a new business this new year. Maybe it's taking a hobby and creating a business out of it. Or maybe you have a great idea you want to put into practice and start a business. What we offer is our services are no-cost confidential counseling services. We help with business plans, all kinds of different types of business plans. We do training workshops such as this and webinars. So let's first talk about if owning a business is right for you and some of the key attributes you need to have to start a business, because business is not a job, it's really a lifestyle. And if you start a business this year, you probably won't be able to take any vacations, just typically. Are you a self-starter? Can you make your own decisions? Another key one is risk, because there's always a lot of risk in starting a new business. Are you good at planning and organizing? Do you have the energy? Because again, it's a 24/7 job many times, and you need a lot of energy to start a business. And of course, it's always good to have support of your family and friends in starting this business. So how do we start? We start with a little market research, and maybe you've already done this, but it's always key to know who's going to buy your product. You need to describe a typical customer that's going to purchase your product or your service, and write that down in somewhat detail, because finding those first customers is always the toughest. Who are your local competition, and who are your if you're more of a e-commerce site, you're going to be worried about competition throughout the country and maybe even throughout the world. Is there a demand for the product or the service that you're offering? And is that demand going up, or is that demand going down? So the first thing you do after you do your market research is you develop a marketing plan. You need to describe exactly what the products you're selling. You need to come up with a pricing strategy for those products. You do not want to be the low price. You don't want to have the lowest priced offering. That is not a good business strategy. And then how are you going to sell your product? Another key one is, how will customers find you? If you develop a website, how will customers even know to come to your website? Your suppliers are also very important, because you're going to want to get wholesale. If you're a retail company, then you're going to want to buy things at wholesale, so you're not paying double sales tax. And then, are you going to be an online store, storefront? Are you selling services? So those are the things you need to describe in your marketing plan. And the other thing is, how will you fund your company? There's only two ways to fund a company, and that's with equity and with debt. And if you fund it with debt, then you have to have good credit. The equity can come from you, or it can come from your family and friends, or from a stock offering if you're an S or a C Corp. So let's talk a little bit about credit, because credit is critical if you're going to get a loan. Your personal credit will be the thing that the banks will be concerned about, because you don't have any business credit. And you can get free credit reports. Typically, if you have a credit card, or even your banks will offer you a free credit report. So that shouldn't be hard to come by. So let's talk a little bit more about credit. The 5 C's of business credit. How much will you invest in the company? What will be your skin in the game, as they call it? And typically banks want somewhere between 10 to 25%, more likely 20 to 25%, that you will invest in the business. What's your capacity, or how will you be able to pay the money back? Because banks, that's a key thing for banks. They want to make sure that you have a way to pay the loan back. Sometimes you can use collateral for your loan. And what other conditions can be put on the loan to assure repayment? Can you have a cosigner, or do you need a cosigner? And then the lender's also very concerned about your ability or the ability for the business to be a success. The next thing you're going to want to do is choose a business structure. We do not recommend sole proprietor because you have no you have no ways to protect your liability in case anything happens to the business. An LLC does give you some protection. And then if you're taking stock or you're going to be a large company, then we should look at S corps or C corps. But typically, businesses start out as an LLC. The other key thing is a business name. And you can check that at the sos.sc.gov to see if that name's available that you picked. And then you can also check to see if there's any trademarks for this name. And then you should register your business name with the South Carolina Secretary of State. There's a lot of startup tasks that you need to do. And you should write down this website, scbos.sc.gov, because it gives you 9 steps to starting a business. And I'll go over that a little bit within a minute too. But you need to apply for your tax ID number, your EIN, you get your LLC first. You want to use this instead of your social security number. You'll need to open a business checking account, but you'll need your LLC and your EIN to do that. And it's not a bad idea to get a business credit card or at least a business debit card when you open your checking account. And the credit card is good because it helps with cash flow. And it also helps you to establish good business credit. So let's talk a little bit about the 9-step guide. So through the 9-step guide, you're going to also want to obtain all your licenses and permits. Depending on your location, you will need a city and a county business license. In Lexington County, you need to have at least a zoning permit. You will also need your certificate of occupancy if you're in a building. If you're selling products at retail, then you'll need a sales tax license. If you're doing any food handling at all, you'll need to get certifications from DHEC. And then there's a bunch of professional licenses you need, depending again on the type of business you're running. So let's talk a little bit about your game plan. Are you going to be a home-based, an online business? Are you going to have a small retail store, service business? And then the next thing in the game plan is, so that's what your business is. The next is, how are you going to finance the business? If you can finance it on your own, that's better because you can go quicker. If you need to get a loan, then the process from getting a loan can take anywhere from 60 to 90 days or longer. Depending on the type of loan and the way you're going to finance, depends on how extensive your business plan is. If you're looking for a lot of money, then we will need to put together a fairly comprehensive business plan. The business plan is how you run your business. One of the things that I've always done is have a notepad beside my bed when I'm sleeping, because sometimes you get the best thoughts when you wake up in the middle of the night. So you need some way to jot that down. But you don't have to do it that way, but somehow you need to jot down your ideas. Doesn't have to be in any order whatsoever. We can always put them in order later. Again, collect any articles that you're reading about the business, type of business you have. You can get some pricing on products you're going to need to have in the store, or fixtures, or anything that you need for the startup. You'll need to identify all those costs. Good thing, or the bad thing about being the sole owner, is that you're the business, you're the whole thing, you're the organizational chart. You do everything. The thing that's important is you need to know what you don't know, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So when you can find people that can help you, the talent gaps, those are the people that you should try to get beside, offer them either a part of the business or some type of compensation for their work. But it's almost never that everybody knows how to do everything. Then you can also do some strategic alliances, networking, any way to get you and your name out in the market is a good thing. Is there any time that you should have a business attorney? And that's it depends, and it depends on the type of business you have. If you are doing partnerships, then a partnership agreement is a good idea. If you're going to incorporate as a Chapter S or a Chapter C company, then you must have an attorney because you need to have subscription agreements for the stock. Attorneys will review contracts and leases and purchasing real estate. So there are times when you will need an attorney, but you're always best to try to do everything you can until you need the attorney and then pull the attorney in at the very end. And here's some additional information on borrowing money. Typically, again, a startup business in the bank, they're going to want to look for anywhere from 15 to 25% owner equity, and also make sure that you have a way to repay the loan. And you can sometimes use collateral or a guarantee or guarantor for getting this loan. They will want at least 2 years of your personal financial statements and tax returns, and they will want a personal financial statement. And then when we put together the business plan, they'll want to see a 3 years projected financial data. And that's another area where we can help you. And again, it's just you. So you should be responsible for keeping track of everything. You may not be a financial whiz, but you should at least know how to look at the numbers to make sure that the business is going the way you want it to go. And use a system you feel comfortable with. Again, for many startups, just a simple Excel spreadsheet is adequate for a while. And some owners, especially if they're retail owners, retail store owners, they'll use something like QuickBooks or Square or some other way to keep track of everything. And then if you decide to hire employees, then we're going to have to help you with additional requirements, such as an I-9. If you're doing retail sales, then of course you'll need to have retail sales tax license. And reporting on that needs to be done mostly on a monthly basis. And for the retail, you can use Squarespace, Lightspeed. There's lots of e-commerce types of businesses. You can set up a PayPal account. But you're going to need to have some way to capture the money from the customer. And then, of course, you should have a CPA or a very good accountant do your annual taxes. So that's kind of where we are. You have any questions?
I have a question. Do you want me to put it in the chat or just ask?
You can go ahead and ask.
So I was told that there are some resources, grants and funding resources outside of like business loans. And I wondered, how do we find that information out?
Well, the short answer is for startups, there's almost no grants.
Okay.
But we do have a list of grant opportunities. But as your business becomes more mature, then more grants would be available. But I don't think you should count on a grant for a startup business.
And also, if I may, Bob, the grant
Sure.
information that we have is related to agriculture and research and development of medical and intellectual property. So just to start a business, there are no grants available that we are aware of. And I would go back to the source that advised you that there were grants and ask them to be specific. And if you come to us with a specific grant, we can review that and assist with the application process.
Okay.
Also, there was one.
Like small towns, when they do those small business development or cultural development grants in little towns where they're trying to get people to open businesses, are those through the government, like federal?
No, that would be that township. Many townships may have received federal money that
Uh-huh.
could be from COVID relief or, you know, it being in an economically depressed area. So the
Mhm.
township may have received the money from the federal government, but they themselves are distributing the money.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
And Miss Hamlin, you asked, do you help with starting a nonprofit?
Ju-
No, ma'am. Our organization does not work with nonprofits. We would suggest that you reach out to your local SCORE chapter, or if you have a local women's business center. Those are two other references for a nonprofit. Would that be correct, Bob?
That is correct. I was gonna make one other comment on grants. If you're starting a child care center, sometimes you can get funding after about 6 months in business. But that's the only one I've seen that's for basically a startup company.
Okay, and then she just mentioned about women business centers. What is that? That's something separate?
The Women's Business Center, there are chapters of the Women's Business Centers throughout the state. And Women's Business Centers, I know there's one in Columbia. It's housed at Benedict College. There's one here in the Charleston area housed at Increasing Hope. But they are a SBA resource, very similar to ours. And their focus is on women-owned small businesses and minority women-owned small businesses. So they may be familiar with what I call competitive grants or competition grants, where you may go into a business writing competition, business plan writing competition, and then they would be awarded, say, $1,000, $2,000 to the winners of that competition.
Okay.
Bob, I'm going to read some questions and you can answer them if you don't mind.
Sure.
So Joe asked, would it be possible to get business credit card for a startup with sales revenue history yet?
Usually you can. It depends on your. If you have decent credit, you can usually get a business credit card. There's also other ways to get a business credit card, and I can't think of the terminology right now, but if you work through a bank, often they will allow you to have a business credit card, or at least you can get a debit card.
But Bob, would that not be after you receive your EIN and you open an account in the business name?
Yes, you need your EIN, your LLC, and then you could open the business checking account, and then yes, you need all that before you can get your business credit card.
Thank you, Bob. And has anyone heard of the SBA programs offering a supposed startup loan with just an EIN? I have not.
I have not either. I'd like to know where that information came from too.
I have an idea for an SBIR grant and have a business already that I am moving to South Carolina from Virginia. Who do I contact?
That would probably be Kevin, but
although it depends on what industry the SBIR is for, because if it's agricultural related, then Jim Johnson can assist with
right.
SBIRs. And also Scott Poole can assist.
Correct.
It's medical, so medical would be Kevin Weir. So, Dr. Carmack, I'm going to make a note right now to send you Kevin's information. Okay. Thank you. Great question. All right. I've already registered my business and have a DUNS number. I'm currently enrolled in sam.gov. I wanted to find out how I write proposals to bid. I want to work with Section 8 low-income homeless shelter safe houses. So you would have to have the particular RFP, and because each RFP is specific to write. It sounds like you're almost wanting to write a grant to take to housing authority. So that sounds a little bit more like a nonprofit or something of that nature. Bob, your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking, depends again on exactly what they want to do, but Scott Poole can help a lot in that area. At least give him some guidance as to which way to go.
But, you know, and of course we work with for-profit businesses. So, if you're talking about Section 8 and low income and homeless shelters and things of that nature, many of those fall under a nonprofit status, which you would get more support from local government and authorities. Would that be correct, Bob?
Correct. And if you're doing that, you should probably go to, like you said earlier, go to SCORE and have them assist you.
Okay, who is the point of contact to schedule a one-on-one appointment with Columbia since Alan Brown has left to take a position with another agency? There are 3 consultants in the Columbia area. So Diane, I will look into your file and I will send you a suggestion of who. Bob is located in Columbia and he worked with Alan. Jim Johnson is also located in Columbia. He's our agricultural and food system specialist. And we also have a new consultant by the name of Robin Marin. But Diane, I'll look into your client profile and match you up with someone and give you their information. Okay. Let's see, what else? Are there any advantages to some proprietorships? Reason I ask is that I do freelance website design and marketing consulting and don't anticipate making more than 50K this year.
Well, I would suggest again an LLC. It's just you, right? So I would suggest an LLC would be probably the simplest thing for you to organize yourself around.
Hey,
And
Bob, this is Bo. I asked the question. But my question was, are there any advantages more from a tax perspective to a sole proprietorship, given this amount that I'll be making this year versus an LLC, given that there is not a whole lot of risk involved, although other than intellectual risk with marketing and
But-
design?
Yeah, from a tax point of view, it's going to be identical, whether you do a sole proprietor or an LLC, if it's just you.
yeah, because the LLC would be in the business name. You would have a bank account in the business name, and then you would pay yourself through the business account. But you'd be able to attract, you know, take care of expenses and everything related to the business, like equipment purchases or program purchases or whatever the case may be.
Understood. Are there any through this organization, any free CPA services resources?
No, sir. We, in different offices, they have resource lists of CPAs, attorneys and things of that nature that have worked with our clients before, but we don't have any of those resources that are at no cost.
Understood. Do you have any Greenville? I'm based in Greenville, and I'm very interested in a one-on-one appointment as well. If you could connect me, that would be great.
I can email you, Bo, the contact information for Greenville.
Thank you.
It would be my pleasure. All righty. So, Shannon Hamlin, who can help setting up an LLC and getting an EIN? We assist people with that all the time.
Right.
With, you would do it yourself by going to the South Carolina Secretary of State. Have your credit card ready or your debit card, because to get articles and everything mailed to you, what is it, Bob, like $140, $145?
Yeah, it's right. I think it's 141 last time I looked, but yeah, it's in that range.
And your EIN is at no cost. So we're going to advise you on the easiest way to do it.
Let me just, since you brought up EIN, I think that's a good point. If you go to the irs.gov website, the EIN is no cost, but there are a lot of websites out there that are irs.com that want to charge you for getting you an EIN. So just make sure you go to the irs.gov website.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bob. So anything that ends in .gov, which is a government entity, like sam.gov or sba.gov, things of that nature, those are legit, if you will. You're going to have a lot of what I refer to as predatory sites that are going to say, we'll do this for you, but there is a fee.
Yep.
Would you please repeat where the Women's Center is housed in Charleston? Okay, it's in North Charleston. It's on Rivers Avenue. It's called Increasing Hope Women's Business Center, and it is physically located in the Opportunity Center on Rivers. Let's see, can you get a business credit card without an EIN?
I don't think you can. I'm not sure. You'd have to talk to your bank.
Yeah, you can't even open a bank account without an EIN anymore. I know they're requiring that here in the Charleston area.
Yeah, I think that's almost universal throughout the country.
If I could say something, my name is Marshall. I work in the credit and in the finance space, and no, if there's no business, meaning EIN or documents, then there's no business account.
Thank you. That's what we have understood as well.
Thank you. This is Shannon. So then the steps would be going to the irs.gov and getting an EIN number and then applying for a credit card and a bank account. Is that correct?
I would do
Yep.
the bank account first. With the LLC and EIN, and then with the bank that you're working with, talk to them about a credit card.
Okay.
Would that be correct, Bob?
Yes, that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you.
Bo had another question, Bob.
Okay.
One more question regarding sole proprietorship versus LLC. Can you write off expenses with sole proprietorship and not just LLC? And is
Yes.
business insurance a requirement for LLC?
No, you can write off expenses with a sole proprietorship. It's I think you still use a Schedule C. I'm not sure if you, with an LLC, use a Schedule C. I think you still use a Schedule C on your IRS tax return.
And then there was also, and is business insurance a requirement for LLC?
I think it's a requirement. I don't know if it's legally a requirement, but it's a good thing to have. Because you need to have some way to protect yourself with liability insurance. Again, it depends a little bit on your product and what you're selling, but most of the time you're better off having some type of business insurance, business liability insurance.
Yeah, for what I do, it's like website design and graphic design. So I just trying to save where I can. Is in your experience, is this industry something that still would really benefit from getting business insurance?
That's a good question. I guess I don't have a good answer for that. I'm not sure. Business insurance can be pretty cheap with what you're suggesting. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on it, for sure. But with what you're talking about, I don't think your insurance would be very high.
This is Marshall. I would say that, I mean, he can do it, but I don't see the need for it right away. But if you were working with medical professionals and stuff like that with HIPAA information for websites or designs, then you may want to invest in it later if you're saving money and you seem to be budget conscious, Bo. But you also want to be mindful of not writing off so much stuff, because later, if you want to be able to get larger lines of credit for your business, if you write almost everything off, then your income is going to be based off what you've written off. So you could have brought in $100,000, but if you wrote everything off to say that you make $400, then they're going to base your credit or your income off the $400. So be mindful of that.
Thank you. That's great to know.
Yeah, great point.
Are there any more questions or comments? And Vanessa, thank you. We love Increasing Hope as well. We work very closely with the ladies there. Whitney and Dorothea. Yeah, great group over there. Thank you for that comment.
One more question, sorry, on the sole proprietorship. Do you need a business account if you're a sole proprietor?
You probably don't legally have to have one, but it's better because how are you going to separate your personal expenses and personal things from your business? You can do it, but it's a lot more paperwork.
So with the LLC, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, with an LLC, it is a requirement to have a separate bank account. And to keep your LLC in good standing, you can't commingle personal finances and business finances. So you can pay yourself out of the business account, but you can't pay personal expenses.
Right. And there's ways now to get business checking accounts for free. I wouldn't pay for a business checking account.
I'd like to get more information on that, Bob.
Who's your bank?
Truist?
Yeah, I don't remember if Truist does it or not.
A lot
Do
of
you-
times
do you know what
local
banks do? Yeah.
local banks having a relationship with a local smaller bank may be helpful. But Bob, I'm not familiar with some of those banking opportunities at no cost.
Yeah, it depends. Like, I think Navy Federal doesn't require any cost for a bank. Wells Fargo, as long as you maintain $500 in a checking account, doesn't charge you. So sometimes there's some certain things you have to do in order to maintain zero cost on your checking account. So it's really bank to bank dependent.
So Miss Watson, I'm not sure I understand your question. Is investigating with a ponder is a type of business, or is it his responsibility to send you a 1099?
I'm sorry, I was speaking, I was typing and typing wrong. What I'm asking is, okay, I don't know if I did this right, but I went and got my LLC. I went and got everything that is required, the bank account, check it for the business and all that good stuff. And then when I got in contact with South Carolina and tell them what my business was all about, they stated that somewhat is not really a business because I am investing with a ponder. And whatever profit I earn is from him, his company. I do nothing. All I do is invest. So is that a type of business? No. Yes. What?
I don't have an answer for that.
I don't either. Well,
Okay.
I mean, that just
so-
sounds like personal investing, and then you would pay taxes on your profits, but I don't know.
Okay. Because I think, okay, so if I did all of this, How can I get remove this license and all that good stuff?
Okay, so what is it you do for the for these companies?
My partner, okay, he flip houses.
He's a,
And let's say he flip a house, okay? He do everything. I don't do nothing. All I say, okay, can I invest 20,000 on this house that you're flipping? Okay. And once he does it and sell it, then he give me my percentage that is required. And that's it.
well, I would think you could set yourself up as an investment company.
Oh, I ain't thought about that. This is my first time ever. Wow.
Yeah, I would think you could.
But then wouldn't she have to do a deposit to the company for the $20,000 and then invest the $20,000 to the home buyer or the flipper through the
Okay,
business?
okay. I did that. After he give me my profit, then I roll it over to
No,
another.
and well, you deposit it in your business
Yes,
account.
ma'am.
So he
Yes,
doesn't
ma'am.
have to send you a 1099 if he is paying the business and not you personally.
Yeah, that's
He
correct.
paid. He sent the check to my business.
So then a 1099 would not be required because all of that is rolling under your business. The 1099 would only come into effect if it's you personally.
Oh,
Yeah, that's correct.
Because a 1099 is, and Bob, please correct me if I'm wrong, is for gig workers. Like, you know, I'm going to play guitar in a band and it's just a one-time thing and they give me a check made out to myself or something like that. So
Yeah,
we
a
say
lot of,
1099 are gig workers.
yeah, a lot of 1099 are just part-time workers that aren't part of the business. They're just there to take up slack sometimes.
So Bob, I can give you an example. This is what I'm doing. I'm Annette Redmond. So I'm a
okay.
retired federal government senior, and I've just in the last year moved down here to South Carolina, and I am looking now to become 1099 to several large defense companies with very limited amounts of work for them, but I am subject matter expertise on certain kinds of functions. I came out of defense and the intelligence community, and oftentimes companies need information on how to navigate those areas. So I'll be 1099 to a few of them.
Okay, but the business will be the 1099, right?
Well, the business is an LLC consulting company because I'll also be on a couple of corporate boards.
Yeah, I think you can do that.
It's very common in Virginia.
I'm pretty sure you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if I wants to get out of this company, what do I do? Is there a form I got to fill out?
You mean if you want to disband your company?
Yeah, because you know, from what I don't, because that's the only thing I'm doing. I'm not doing nothing else.
Well, I think you should. It costs a little money,
Should
but I think you should talk to a business lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also when talking about taxes and different things like that, I would speak to a tax attorney or a CPA on benefits of different things of that nature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you may want to stay in the business. You may want to keep the business.
Oh, okay. Okay, that'll work. Because if let's say one more question. Let's say even though I have this going on investment, and let's say I want to purchase a mobile home, would that can fall under what I'm doing now?
Now, the purchase of the mobile home, would that be for investment purposes or for your personal?
Not for my personal, if it's like an investment.
Then, yeah,
But what are you, yeah, and what are you gonna do with the mobile home?
I have it up as a rental.
then definitely that should be under your LLC.
Okay. Okay, that's good. But I'll hold on to it then. Thank you. Okay.
Someone had that Rev Bank will open a checking account for $100. And
Yeah, but what's their ongoing rate? Do they have an ongoing fee?
yeah, that's a great question.
Because most banks, you can open a checking account for $50, a lot of them. But some of them have an ongoing monthly fee from somewhere between $10 and $15. And that's what I don't like paying. I don't, because there are banks out there where you can get around that.
And there was a question, can we all send contacts to each other? Y'all can do it on this platform, but we have confidentiality agreements with each and every one of you. So we can't send other people's information to our clients. So we hold each and every one of you as confidential entities within our organization. Someone mentioned something about Lily is another online banking account, and Novo Online has no fees and no particular amount to open. One thing I will mention about working with credit unions and online banking for your business, if you go back to the bank that you're working with to get a growth loan or a business loan, they're not going to be available to you. Would that be correct, Bob?
Usually that's the case, yes. They like you to bank where you get your loan.
So that's one of the shortfalls from working with some of those online bankers. And then credit unions many times don't have a strong business department in support of small businesses. So the people that I am going to email information to is Dr. Carmack. I'm going to send you Kevin Weir's information. Bo, I'm sending you Greenville information, and thank you for your email address. Miss Wallace, I'm going to see where you're located and get information and an appointment for you. And Diane, I've got your email address. So at the Richland Library, so I can send you appointment information as well. Was there anybody else that I'm wanting to send? So Miss Wallace, you're in Lexington, so I can send you the Columbia information and get you all set up with that.
Oh, one more question, sorry. Do you have to register your LLC every year?
No, not in this state.
Great.
What about the tax thing?
What tax thing?
I mean, like, if I have a business and like it's like a quarter tax, what is it, DCR, that you have to report to in South Carolina, like October, December, then you have to let them know what was your profit or whatever happened, and then it's January to what, March? Is there such thing?
You're talking about quarterly tax reporting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a lot of people, you don't have, I don't believe you have to do that, but it's a good idea to do that, especially if you're starting to generate a lot of revenue.
Oh, I see.
Well, and also we can't give tax advice because we're not tax attorneys or CPAs.
Oh.
So, I mean, we can advise to some degree, but you know,
Yes.
I wouldn't want you to take that as set in stone.
Okay, thank you, though.
So, William, most everyone on an LLC, if it's just a single individual, is a registered agent on the LLC. Is that correct, Bob?
That's correct. Yeah, don't get
many-
an outside agent because they'll charge you money.
And then most of the time, if you're working through an attorney to get your LLC, then they become your registered agent.
And they also charge you money.
Yes, sir. And Marshall, I got your information about Greenville. Thank you. And got your email address. Is it better to hire someone else to be the agent? It's not necessary.
No, I don't know of any advantage in that.
All righty, so it is now 2:00. Again, this event has been recorded and I'm including all of the questions. It will be posted on the website that Bob has right here, SCSBDC.com. If you go to the training events header, when you click that at the top of the page, you will find upcoming events that you can register to attend. And if you scroll towards the bottom, you will see a very extensive library of recorded events. So thank you very much for attending today. I will be sending out a post-event survey. If you could please answer that, that's kind of like our report card. If you can share with us if you learned anything from this event, if you have suggestions for other events or times or anything, that's our report card, and we would certainly appreciate your response. So if there's nothing else today, can we close? Any free tax advice through this organization? No, sir. The only free advice that we give is general business consulting. So we don't have any tax attorneys or CPAs associated with our organization. My apologies, Bo. So if there is anything else, we will go ahead and close for today. And thank you for your attendance. And Bob, anything?
The only thing I was going to say is thank everyone for attending and have a great year.